Well, hello there, class, and welcome to the start of Unit 2. Hope your first unit has gone well, or I guess it did go well. Hey, I wanted to just get in front of you, do another video, and kind of share some thoughts, okay? So this last 2 weeks we spent kind of easing into our course, and so I'm sure there was a mixture of emotions and thoughts and different things that kind of came to mind, kind of just feelings, different things, some confusion perhaps. And I mentioned in an email that I sent late last week that you noticed that I was a bit absent the first couple of weeks. And I want you to know it's not because I'm, ignoring the class, I'm, not wanting to do anything with the course. That's not it at all. I'm very intentional with that. And so if you talk to previous classmates, they probably had some similar, like, what is going on? Like, where is this guy? Why is he not paying a lot of attention to us? I mean, I've responded to emails and all that, but you didn't see me in online a lot? What's going on here? And here's the reason why I do this. I want to kind of, to in some ways, drive a little bit of a point home that a lot of the confusion and maybe even some frustration that was experienced over the past couple of weeks is obviously not identical, but it's very similar to the job search process. I got into this work about, 13 years ago or so, maybe 12 years ago. So I went through a season of underemployment. I was working for a consulting firm and had been promised full-time employment on 2 separate occasions. I had a master's degree. I had several years of experience. I thought, hey, I'm not going to make $100,000, but I'm certainly, qualified for these jobs for which I was applying. I had actually committed the cardinal sin in career search, and I quit a job before having another job. I thought I had one lined up. I had an interview lined up in my old office, in my old university. Thought for sure this is it. It was a position that basically had my name written all over it. Applied for it, didn't get the job, and I kind of went on this journey, if you will, over a 9-month period of time where I applied for 217 jobs. 217 jobs. And I'll tell you, it was frustrating. It was it was maddening. I was depressed. I was just all of the emotions you can imagine when you're going through a job search. I was experiencing all of them, except it was heightened, right? Because I was applying for so many jobs. I didn't have any strategy. I was a mess. And one of the things I didn't realize is there were professionals that were their sole job was to help people think about work, to help them get interviews, to help them prepare for interviews, to help them with their resumes, a number of different things. So now, fast forward 12 years later, and the work I've been doing for the past 12 years in one way or another, specifically in my private practice and now with my full-time work and even the teaching I've been doing for the last 9 years or so, I am helping folks to either think about work, much like I didn't know was available to me some years back, or preparing people like you across the computer screen to think about how you can help people. There is, I don't know, maybe I'd say very few things in this world that are as hard and frustrating as the job search process, especially when it's filled with rejection. Especially when it's filled with, artificial intelligence and applicant tracking systems and keywords and, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I know the right people, and yet this position was posted, but it was basically already identified for somebody else, and they took it down 5 days later simply because they had to say it was posted to give other people an opportunity, even though they had no intention of hiring anybody from the outside. And the list goes on and on and on. And so when you think about the job search process, you think about applying for jobs, and you think about filling out application after application and updating resumes and tweaking cover letters, it is maddening and it's frustrating, and so often we can feel alone. And so even in this very brief moment of time as we're in this class together, and there was a couple of weeks of some kind of silence, right? I was still interacting with you, still giving you updates, but I wasn't interacting a lot. And you're feeling these emotions because already you're kind of a fish out of water in the sense that you're taking a career class, which, although I'll make a case at some point this semester of how I think it's so closely related to the work that you're doing, it's still not similar content, right? Even some of the books you're reading, Schwen and Bass, is a bit abstract. It's not practical. You're having to use a different part of your brain to think through the content. And then you took you took an assessment, a well-being index assessment. You're going to read this text and write a paper on this, and you're thinking, okay, so what is well-being? I understand what it means, but at the same time, why are we reading this book in this class on career? Why did I take this assessment, especially before I read the book, and there's no feedback? What is going on? There's all of these questions kind of swirling around that you're not quite sure of. And if you were to kind of take all these emotions, if you have not yet, or maybe recently been in the job search process, you will, I can all but guarantee, experience an element, if not all of these emotions at some point during that process. It's maddening, it's frustrating, it's anxiety-inducing, it's challenging, it's hard, it's saddening, it's all the things that I just talked about. And so here I am as the instructor of record for this course, and I'm a bit absent. And you're thinking, wait a second, you're the one that's supposed to instruct me on how to do this class. Well, think about all of those folks out there. I don't know how many millions of people, if not, there's 7 billion people on the face of the planet. So however many of those folks that are currently right now looking for work. What about those folks that don't know that people like me or that potentially people like you at some point exist? What if they don't know that their university offers services to alumni or to current students to help them think through the career search process? There is this sense that I am alone. I am all by myself. I'm up a creek without a paddle, right? Whatever cliche saying that you want to think about, those are the emotions and the experiences that folks are having when it comes to looking for work. And so as we kind of dive into the rest of this class, right, we have 14 or so weeks together still. One of the I think the huge blessings that takes place in this course content is that you are given tools. Maybe you're not going to end up doing this work, but at least you're giving tools you can kind of pepper into the work that you're doing when you're counseling other folks, or maybe just kind of insert it into conversations with friends or family members when they're going through the job search process. Or perhaps it's even something that you hear or you learn or you've had to do from an assignment standpoint that you're now thinking about when you yourself eventually graduate, walk across the stage, get the fake diploma from President Ferguson, shake his hand, and then you enter into the job search process, right? So you have been given tools that not only can you transferably use with other people, but you can then keep in mind when you yourself are going through this process. So are you going to know everything about career development? Absolutely not. Will you know some? Yes. Will you know more than you did coming into this class? More than likely. In fact, at the end of the semester, one of your final response projects is what changed? You came into this class thinking certain things about career development. What do you now know, right? Knowing what you now know, what do you know that's different from what you thought you knew or what you thought was this whole idea of career development? What have you kind of grown in? What's been added to your understanding, your repertoire, your language, all those things, right? Knowing that, you come in probably with little to no experience. Maybe you saw the career office in your undergraduate institution. Maybe, right? And I emphasize maybe. I went to a large state school, I guess a mid-sized state school, about 15,000 students. And the only time I really went into the career office is when I had friends that were interviewing for positions. I never went there. In fact, I didn't really even know what they did in that office until I actually got a job at that university and ended up having to go through the office to know how I could best serve my students by pointing them to this office. I didn't take advantage of the resources. And I think so often that's the case with people. So you're going to be equipped in certain ways that you weren't beforehand. You're going to have understanding and knowledge. The other thing that's going to take place is we can't just isolate out job search, job placement, job securing in the career development process. Because there's a whole other element, especially when it comes into a faith-based perspective, where we look at the whole person. So I have people that come to me and they'll call or they'll email or say, hey, I saw that you're a career coach. I saw that you do career development work. I need a new job. Can you help me? My immediate response is no. No, I can't help you. But well, hold on a second. That's what you do, right? Yeah, that's what I do. I can, but I'm not going to do that with you because I can almost always pinpoint what the issue at hand is. And someone coming to me saying, can you help me get a new job? There's more to the issue than just needing a job. And so if we don't walk through a specific process, and I'll share this with you at some point this semester as well, and all I do is help you get a job, then you're going to be back in front of me or someone like me, in 6 to 12 months because you're going to hate that job and want a new one. there's more to the process, because we need to look at the whole person. We need to look at the ideas of vocation and calling, and that's what I think this book that's edited by Schwen and Bass does such a good job at, in bringing some diverse voices in to think about different perspectives, to acknowledge that there's so much more to us than just needing and wanting work, right? There's a book written some years back called The Coming Jobs War. And I get it. The number one thing, according to the research that Gallup conducted in this book, for the book, the number one thing, this was I think 2012, and I think it's probably still true today, number one thing on people's minds in the world, they did a global study, the number one thing on people's minds in the world is wanting a good job, right? 30 plus hours, so permanent, full-time, benefited work. That's the number one thing that people have on their mind. So I get it. Work is vital, right? Work is in some ways life. We spend the vast majority of our waking hours at work during the week. So is work important? Absolutely. Is it the only thing that needs to be looked at? No, not at all. I have an employee that works for me, and when we were in the process of hiring this individual, one of the things that I said was, people, they take jobs for two reasons. They take jobs for money and work. They leave jobs not for money or for work, but for people. So the thing that they're coming for usually doesn't factor a whole lot into the thing that they're leaving for, right? People leave because there's a lack of a culture fit, or they have a bad manager, or they're not taken care of well. But those are things that they can't really factor in. And so if we can be people that help individuals to find organizational or workplace homes, right, that can help them think about the whole person, which is why we read the Vocation, the Calling book by Schwen and Bass, to think holistically, I think we can help our clients, our friends, our family members to be in much better places occupationally, which we can talk about the difference between occupation and vocation later on. But I want us to look at the whole picture. And as you think about a class like this, especially in relationship to the MFT program, this is a bit of a different curriculum, and it's very intentionally so. So from here on out, I will be much more involved in the class. I will help us to kind of think through some of the content. If the text is abstract, that's intentional. So I want you to kind of exercise that different muscle of your brain, if you will, to think through and think, how does it holistically connect to the greater whole of the class and to the other content that you're learning throughout the rest of your program. All right. So this week we've got a number of things. We've got some videos to watch. This video is one of them. Another video by Jim Harder, co-author of the text Well-Being. A couple of articles, I guess 3 articles to read on well-being. And then you've got your optional discussion, your Schwen and Bass entering discussion. Now, again, remember, you need to have your first entry by Sunday at midnight, so the first Sunday of this week, and then the following week is when you engage, and I mean back and forth, engaged conversation with your classmates, at least 2 on their own posts between, I guess, midnight on Monday, so 12 o'clock a.m. on Monday, and then the second Sunday of the unit, okay? And again, you don't have to respond to case studies. We don't have an assignment yet, but or an exercise, but the case study or the lip tack, those are things you'll see later on. You don't have to respond to those either. All you're engaging in is the Schwen and Bass discussion, okay? And then your well-being response paper, so you can read through the description on that. It is APA. Write APAs. You've been writing APA. I know that there are some differences. I had a question about APA 6 or 7. There's even 8. I don't know. APA is all over the place. I just want you to write an APA. I'm not nitpicky. I'm not counting the number of spaces after the period when you're writing, new sentences and so forth. But make sure that the formatting, the in-text citations, and so forth are APA. If you have questions about specifics on that, please email me, and I'm happy to help fill in the blanks on that. One of the greatest resources is Purdue OWL, O-W-L, the online writing laboratory. So I would check that out. Just Google Purdue OWL, and there's all sorts of great resources that are on that website. All right. So nice work so far. Make sure that you adhere to deadlines and assignment descriptions. Remember, there's no late assignments accepted in this class. And I keep wanting to say that because I want you to hear that. I'm going to drive that point home. So if you have something that comes up and you're late, it's not worth asking unless there's something that's an extenuating circumstance, because I want us to stay on task and make sure that things are turned in on time. All right. If I can help with anything, just know I'm here to support you, and I'm looking forward to engaging throughout the rest of this class. Have a great week, and I hope that the other courses you might be enrolled in right now are going well as well. And we will look forward to seeing you online this week and the weeks to come.